Hey everyone, it's Nolan Wheeler with Sync. This is another episode of Modern Work Mondays. Of course, as always, we have
Jeff Strasser with Microsoft. It is great to see you as always, Nolan.
Jeff. You were looking exceptionally sharp today. What is going on?
Yeah, I am on the road once again with some leaders across a number of CPG organizations talking about AI this week. So yeah, it's a hot topic if you can imagine.
If we can imagine, yeah, it's awesome. Hey, so last time we talked, you know what? For the first time, you gave me some homework. You're like, hey Nolan, we got to do like a real short briefing of like just how easy this is. So you gave me a little bit of homework. We're using a little bit of, in this example, a little AI Foundry. There's a little bit of Copilot Studios thing going on here if we wanted to, but really simple in terms of like just dumping some data into SharePoint. I think Ryan, we got to introduce Ryan. Ryan, we're going to do a little bit of a dump of some HR strategies and some policies around that. And then, of course, in terms of democratizing the access, like how do people get this? Mobile phone, ringing a number, hitting a radio, whatever. We're going to do a radio demo. But Ryan, why don't you introduce yourself and what you want to share with us today? And I think you're going to share a screen, Ryan, and walk us through this.
Yeah, special guest, Ryan Cooney. So I'm VP of Engineering at Sync, and I do Nolan's homework. So what we're gonna show here today is being able to leverage low-code or no-code AI agents and be able to interact with them over the radios. So Sync AI Radio can already interact with some agents. I'm going to show you kind of how we did that and expose some policy documents to an agent. So let me share my screen. What we're looking at here, just a SharePoint directory with a couple of documents in it. So we've got some policies that would apply to a fictional store we've created. So Acme Retail, everything from dress codes to who knows, whatever you want in there. Put any sort of Word doc, PDF into this directory. And this is what we want to use as the knowledge base for our agent. So where do we get an agent from? There's lots of different ways you can create an agent today, but we're going to look at Azure AI Foundry. So this is, I mean, it can be super complex, but it's also can be leveraged in a low code, no code sort of way. And we're going to do no code today. Basically, we're going to add an agent. I've already done one here, but I've created a SharePoint agent, and then we can give the parameters to that agent. How's it going to operate? I have added a SharePoint connector for knowledge that's just pointed at that directory. And then I'm going to tell the agent what to do. So basically, you're an agent that answers questions for store staff based on these documents in this connection. We're only going to respond based on what's in this document. So don't just like make things up based on, its overall knowledge base. Really just use that SharePoint directory. This use case today is not for like your average chatbot that you type with, it's for walkie-talkie response. So we want nice, short, sweet responses. So we want, keep their responses terse because we're going to play them over a radio. And we're going to even add some exclusions. So you can't ask questions about wages or paydays or things like that. So we'll just tell the agent to give it some boundaries, basically. So I've been able to set all that up, no code necessary with AI Foundry. And then it's some simple configuration to take Sync AI Radio and just point it at that agent. We just need something like a keyword or the name of the agent. So we've gone with Toby for this agent today. And now we can interact with it. So I've got a radio here. I'll stop sharing so you can see. And then I just ask a question that's going to be sourced from one of those documents. So let's do a dress code one. So, hey, Toby, can I wear shorts to work?
No. According to the dress code, you need to wear clean black pants, closed-toe shoes, and a company-issued polo shirt.
Okay, and that's basically verbatim right out of that Word document. And the beauty of that is it's unstructured. We have no idea what's going to come in these questions. It won't be, give me the exact dress code or anything like that. It's going to be this, random, very human question, and power those agents to be able to interpret that, pull from that knowledge base, and there you go.
So cool thing here, legacy radios in stores connecting to modern AI agents for whatever information, right? We obviously used really simple policy documents here, but connectivity, and whether that's built in AI Foundry like you did here, or presumably this can also be built using even a lower code platform like Copilot Studio.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that works today with Sync AI Radio.
Yep.
Copilot Studio.
And so easy to build, quick access to existing content, both platforms, Studio, Foundry, access to third-party data sources, whether that's Microsoft platforms, whether that's third-party platforms, it could be anything, right? Store operations information, sales data, inventory data. If you're a manager, it could be employee data. If you have access to certain, certain data sets, really anything that you need to access in the day-to-day of a store, all through legacy radios, which up until this point was human on the other end, and that was pretty much the only option you had. So, So you did the homework.
I did the homework.
Challenge accepted and challenge completed.
We don't only delivered.
That's what I think is so cool about this, Jeff. I mean, aside from the fact that Ryan does much better homework than I can ever imagine, but it's just a matter of like, let's meet people where they're at, right? If the device is a radio, let's give them the democratized access to the radio. If it's a intercom system, let's give them that. If it's a Zebra device, then fantastic. But it's just a matter of like, we just can't expect everybody walking around at every single moment, having connectivity, more importantly, in those environments. So it is just a matter of like, let's just meet these frontline workers where they're at with those tools that they have, and let's just make this as simple as possible. I think we get so wrapped up around like, what's the art of the possible, and like, let's get focused on like, what are the real true deliverable. I'm sitting behind POS. It's like my cashier agent. What's the produce code for, banana pepper? It's all these pieces that we want to like kind of deliver to the front line without a bunch of barriers, roadblocks, and passwords.
Yeah, actually, so I had another client meeting this morning, and we were talking about they're in the beverage business, and we were talking about distribution centers, manufacturing floor, no devices, and how. And the conversation was around agents, and this was a lot in the context of like employee self-service and things of that nature. But then we started getting into the, forklift is broken, equipment's broken, needs support, accessing existing knowledge base, troubleshooting steps over the radio. And if that's unable to resolve the issue, automatically open a ticket and escalate to a human, which could then the agent could notify and communicate with that agent via Teams as an example. And either dispatch somebody or provide, real-time communications with a human being to help troubleshoot. So many interesting options to help deflect, human interaction where needed, escalate to humans where needed. So the human experts are only focusing on the real problems and not the ones that could be more easily solved with existing content. But the biggest challenge was like, we don't have devices for everybody. And people can't and won't use personal devices for this. In many cases, that's a labor issue. And so being able to use existing communications equipment was super intriguing for a scenario like this. So I'm glad you've proven that it is that simple. And I know you're having lots of conversations with kind of our mutual customers on this, but it's a pretty cool solution. I mean, who would have thought a few years ago we'd be able to have this level of conversation from existing radios sitting in stores.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a perfect segue for next week, Jeff, where we're going to talk about democratizing access, right? Like just meeting folks where they're at, what are the tools that they have, what do they have out there that's friendly. You and I were lucky to be on Ricardo Belmar's podcast this week, which comes out next week. And a lot of that came around the fact of like just, the ability to leverage those legacy voice tools and to give that access, because we see time and time again, so many of these AI opportunities, I think, miss the mark because of an over complexity. It's just overly complex in terms of what the solve is or how you access that information. So when we make it this trivial, we make it this easy in terms of those legacy devices, this is where it gets sticky.
Absolutely. Got to reduce the barrier to entry and accelerate the time to value. And I think a solution like this does exactly that, right? How do we move fast and get value? We've seen too many clients of ours that overinvest and don't recognize value because they're over-engineering, over-complicating, trying to solve world hunger, through their own AI initiatives, and instead of just attacking the very specific challenges and opportunities within the business.
No, it's awesome. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us, for sharing that with us. And Jeff, super excited to see Ricardo's stuff come out next weekend as well. Yeah. We'll dive into that democratized thing. Maybe we'll get one of our friends from Lumen to come and join us, and we'll talk about telephony and how we leverage those existing tools.
We should do that.
Sounds very good. Thank you so much, Ryan. Thanks,
All
Jeff.
right. Good to see you both.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.